Okay, we are recording. This is Carl Farinelli, and I'm at the Tahlequah campus. This is January the 9th. Can you believe it? 2017. Has everybody got used to saying that yet? No. And so, if each of your classes will pass a sign-in sheet around, give me your name, which class you're taking with me, which online class. You might also tell me your major, because some of you, if you're taking curriculum development, probably are not school administration majors. So is there anybody here who is not a school administration major? Oh, we have all school administration. Okay, interesting. That doesn't happen very often.
So you wanted our names and,
Name, your major, maybe your advisor
okay,
at your school, if you work at a school, contact information, kind of the stuff that you will put in the autobiography you're going to write this week. Just so that I'll know you were here and I can refer folks to you who weren't able to make it tonight. Is it warm at any one of the campuses? How's the temp at BA? Okay, so first topic, let's talk about online classes with Carl Farinelli. How many of you have never taken an online class with me before? Okay, well okay, so each of you gets a bonus point tonight for being brave enough to do this. So you put a +1 beside your name that you've never taken a class before. And you get a bonus point for helping them out, okay? So we're gonna start out then with my theory of online classes. A lot of people tell me that other online classes are very different than ours are in the graduate college here at Northeastern State. People who take online classes at other universities that I won't name tell me that many of them are textbook driven. You read a chapter and then you go online and either write a paper or you take a test. And so it is very driven by the text. How many of you have ever had a class like that was text driven?
not online,
But not online, okay. Well, what I want to happen in this class is rather than online, here is a good idea for one of your postings. And I'll tell you about how to do 10-point postings in another mini lecture here. But in this one, I mainly want to talk about field-based rather than textbook-based classes. I want this class to be field-based. And so if you read any of the papers online that I have provided for you on the iDrive on the 5th curriculum, you know that 5th curriculum is the curriculum that you will really use. So that's the main thing with this class, is I want you to do these projects in a way that you will really use what you do. So there's several subcategories to that. The broadest category I call the 5th curriculum. Might not be something you'll have on a test. It might be something you'll have on a test. It might be something you'll have on the state test for principal. It might not. But it will be things that I think, or I want you to find out, that you will really need where you want to work. Either where you're working now or where you would like to work. So there we go. What is the iDrive? Okay, keep that. I like the method. Okay, I'm going to use that too. We're going to write things down, put it in front of the screen here, okay? But they can't see us yet. So for those of you who have never used the iDrive, I will do a separate little lecture on the iDrive in a minute and guide you into it, okay? So keep that question. That's a great question. And it's just a storehouse of information that your professors can make for you, for each professor, to put research that will help you, ideas that will help you out. Okay, you've used the iDrive.
Yes, sir.
So you might want to tell them your name, and that way
Okay.
you can be the iDrive helper.
I can help them out.
Yeah. And you know my iDrive, since I've been here, this is my 29th year. Actually, the state says I've been here 30 years. That's because I never get sick, knock on wood. So I have a year's worth of sick leave stored up. Yeah. So I'm 2 years past retirement.
Bless you.
And so June will be my last full-time semester.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you guys are in my last big semester, regular 16-week semester. I think I did the first online classes in school administration, and that was probably about 20 years ago when it was much more primitive. So I've learned a few tricks along the way. But we've always used the fifth curriculum, even before we called it that. And so the fifth curriculum, a good title for the fifth curriculum is the utilized or the used curriculum. The things that you can learn in my class that you will really use. So there's a good definition for you. So if you want to do a 10-point posting, now watch them, they're going to write me another sheet. What's a 10-point posting? But if you want to do one of your 10-point postings, you could use the iDrive as a topic. You could use 10-point postings as a topic for a 10-point posting. And you could use the fifth curriculum as a topic. So you already have 3 10-point posting topics right there. And your source for number 1 on the 10-point postings, number 1, you get 2 points for the first step, is the idea and the source, okay? So the broad category is, I want everything that you do in this class that's possible for you to really use to be fifth curriculum items. Now, a subset of that would be what we call field-based. Things that you can use right now, either on your job, in your community, in your family, at your church or synagogue or mosque or whatever you go to, if you go to something like that, okay? But something that you can use with any organization that you either work with or belong to that does good work, that does that highest level of Kohlberg. There's another term. Guys at BA, write another sheet. What is Kohlberg? For discussion later. Hey, I can hear you now. Somebody's button is working. Oh, that's the phone. That's the phone. Okay. Okay. So, fifth curriculum are things that you will really use, and one subset of that would be field-based, things that you can use out in the field where you are doing good work. Okay? So if you work for a public school, it could be in your public school. If not, you're a taxpayer, so there's some public school that belongs to you where you could be volunteering, hopefully, if you have good administration that allows for the stakeholders to take part in the school. And then you have some private schools, you have church schools, you have public organizations that do good work. How many of you have ever been involved in scouting? Anybody?
No.
Anybody here ever been involved in youth athletics?
No.
Art League. I'm in the Tahlequah Art Organization. Any of you volunteer at soup kitchens? Gathering coats for kids that don't have coats. They used to call it Jim Giles Coats for Kids, right? When Jim was still alive. So, any of those things, whether it is your job or whether it is your public service, those would be things of your educational and your public leadership. I consider those all part of this leadership degree. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm about run out of this topic, but I've talked about the fifth curriculum, which that's a specific part of the curriculum development class, but it applies to all the classes, and that I want you to do things that you will really use, that might be long-term learning for you, way beyond the principles test. So way beyond the fourth curriculum, which is the tested curriculum, okay? And that will go on into your lives, your careers, maybe your retirement. So now that I'm really starting to think about that, right? My wife just completed chemotherapy, and as a present, she wanted a two-person little RV trailer. So if you pass my house 9/10 of a mile from here and you see a brand new wolf pup sitting there, we've taken it on one trip. Very cold trip to Nashville last week.
Oh my God.
We're hiking along the Columbia River in freezing weather.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So it's a 16-footer. That's a big one. So guys, any questions then about this idea? Another term you might find that if you did a Venn diagram and you had a big circle for the fifth curriculum, one circle would be field-based projects, and another circle that might be within that circle or might just intersect it would be action research. How many of you have heard that term?
No. Yes.
So action research is kind of like field-based projects, but with just a little more technical research involved in it, okay? Where you go look up resources and find articles and things of that sort. So when you do a 10-point posting, which we'll talk about next, step number 3 is going to be a little action research, and we'll talk about that, okay? So I'm going to turn the camera off, and that's going to be all we're going to talk about on my topic, number 1, which was my classes are actually not textbook driven. You can use a text, but I don't want you to be restricted to a textbook. And it's not read a chapter and write a paper or read a chapter and take a test. It's I want you to do things and report back to us on discussion board what you do that really makes a difference in your life and the things that you're doing in your communities, your tribes or your schools or your local communities, your church, your families. I was a high school dropout, so I do a lot of work with Job Corps and GED programs. And so whatever it is that you're passionate about, okay? So any questions about that idea? Well, let me give you the Farinelli. I'm from Arkansas. I grew up in Booger County, Arkansas. The cousins and the aunt that raised me were migrants, so we'd go out to California and work the crops every year and then head back to the mountains for the winter. But I call it wagging the curriculum. I want you to wag this class and make it useful to you. Don't let the class wag you. Does that make sense? Okay, so whether you call it the fifth curriculum or whether you call it service leadership or whether you call it school leadership or whether you call it your bag of tricks, your toolkit, as Harry Wong would call it, whatever you want to call it, that's what I want you to develop in this class. I don't want you to waste your money figuring out what hoops I want you to jump through. Okay, is that a deal?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn off the very first video. We've got 13 minutes and 22 seconds there.